with Brianne Depeche and Joni Grave. The big idea, for many of President Trump's core supporters, his appeal has always been more about tone than substance. Commentators often misunderstood his 2016 success by overly focusing on the specific policies he was proposing. To borrow one trite formulation, the media took Trump literally while voters took him seriously. Many Republicans who backed Trump in the primaries were willing to overlook his apostasies on the issues they theoretically cared about most, such as abortion or guns, because they liked his style. The brashness, bellicosity, swagger and machismo, whatever you want to call it, that made so many elder statesmen so uncomfortable was central to his success. Many conservatives feel like the system, in Washington and the world, is broken. They don't want leaders to prevaricate or speak the language of diplomacy. They want a street fighter. After a week of being angry at Trump for cutting deals with Chuck and Nancy, that's what a lot of these same people saw in Trump's maiden speech yesterday to the United Nations General Assembly. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime, the president said in the most memorable soundbite of the day. The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. The conservatives who praised the speech focused mainly on the way Trump talked about North Korea. John Bolton declared that this was the best speech of the Trump presidency because people will remember Trump's threat against Pyongyang. I think he was as clear and direct as it's possible to be, the former U.S. ambassador to the UN said on Fox News. For Americans, plain speaking is still a virtue. And there was a lot of plain speaking in that speech. The resurgence Eric Erickson also called it the best speech by President Trump so far and said it was because he did not mince words. A White House contact told me the president intended to wake up the United Nations to the threat North Korea poses on the world stage by using harsh language. I think it probably worked. Foreign policy elitists will treat the president's statements about North Korea and Rocket Men with the same disdain they showed Reagan for his evil empire remarks. But I suspect both presidents will have the last laugh. With President Trump we are not going to get the soaring rhetoric of Barack Obama or the happy smile and sentiment of George W. Bush. We are not going to get Reagan or Clinton. What we are going to get is a blunt instrument who understands he can occasionally use his bluntness to make real change. The apology tour is over, wrote Washington Times columnist Charles Hurt, praising the strong dose of straight talk. Thank God we have a president who is not afraid to speak truth to the whole world, evangelical leader Franklin Graham wrote on Facebook. It made you proud to be an American. If his supporters worried about the supposed globalists on his staff watering down Trump's approach on foreign policy, the president dispelled all of those worries, Ed Morrissey wrote on his Hot Air blog. It may not be the most elegant solution, and it's certainly not what we're used to, but blunt threats are sometimes the only thing two-bit despots understand, added Washington Examiner columnist Beckett Adams. Compare the tenor of that commentary to the horrified reaction of many media elites. ABC News correspondent Terry Moran said on the air after Trump finished speaking that threatening to totally destroy a nation of 25 million people borders on the threat of committing a war crime. From CNN senior White House correspondent from Politico's chief international affairs columnist, here is a taste of some of the headlines out there this morning. Daily Beast, strange bedfellows, Israel and Saudi Arabia love Trump's Nuke-Happy UN speech. NPR, after Trump's UN speech, some senators look to reinforce war powers. The Globe and Mail of Canada, Trump stokes global tensions with threats against North Korea in UN speech. On the right, though, Trump offered a little something for everyone. If you want to believe that the president's heart is in the right place, if you're inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt, there was at least something in the speech you could seize on and celebrate. Whether you're a traditional Republican who cheered when George W. Bush focused on promoting democracy abroad during his second inaugural address, or a libertarian who wants to bring the troops home, there was a theme for you to embrace. In part, that is what happens whenever a speech is drafted by committee. It's plainly obvious from reading the transcript that different sections of the speech were written by different people with different worldviews. The Washington Post's Greg Jaffe and Karen DeYoung focus on the ideological and